trillion. Apple's investing $500 billion. You know, they always built their places in China. Now he's building here. I think because of you speak to Tim Cook, because of the election, but maybe more importantly because of the tariffs. You know, he's got really an obligation to do it. But we have many, many companies that you haven't even heard of. But I think we'll be at $5 trillion very soon. And if you think about this, we've never been anywhere near that. I don't know if we've ever been at $1 trillion.
What do you mean by that?
We're 500. What do I mean by trillion?
5 trillion. What are you referring to, sir?
I think that we're going to be at $5 trillion of investment. I think you're going to have investments very shortly. We're already 3.5, and we have commitments, verbal commitments for a lot more. And numbers like that have never been done in this country. And it's going to get harder. This is in 2 months. It's really in less than 2 months, because since we've really gone out with it. And we have other interesting things happening. But to me, the whole tariff situation, and essentially they've done that to us for many years. So if we're anywhere near $5 trillion in 2 months, this could be numbers like the country's never seen. And every time you hear a dollar spent, that's another job, because the jobs are coming with it. So auto plants, chip plants, pharmaceuticals, lumber coming in. We have things happening in this country. I'm not sure that they've ever seen it. Steel, you know, we have tariffs on steel. They've been here for a while. Steel and aluminum. Nobody's ever seen anything like we're witnessing now. Nobody's ever seen anything. Most of you agree with that. I mean, it's nothing much you can't agree with. We have things happening in terms of jobs and investment, the likes of which I don't think we've ever seen. If you look at, let's say, $4 to $5 trillion in a period of a month and a half, that's even more than you do with your concerts, which are always sold out, right? Nobody's ever seen numbers. And think of it, where Apple's at $500 billion, as I said, but they always used to spend that money in China. Now they're spending it here. That means they're going to build. Now, they don't have any tariffs. Remember, there are no tariffs if you do your product here, if you build whatever it is in the USA. One of the things we're also trying to get is if you buy a car that was built in the USA, you get a deduction on interest. So if you go out and borrow money to buy a car, if it's built in the USA, never been done before, it's a big deduction for people that really aren't used to deductions, frankly, because people that buy cars like that are not big into the world of deductions. And now,
I'm telling you, man, when it comes to what Trump's doing right now, it's going to be once companies start hearing through the grapevine, because Trump's going to make it so they're not really hurting for permits. There's going to be no 6-month wait for permits if Trump is trying to do this, and he's trying to make his economy look like the best economy that we've seen in our lifetime. They're not going to be waiting. Once that gets through the grapevine and people start realizing, oh, all my product sells to Americans anyway. So the whole thing that they want from me is that I build there and that I employ them. Okay, I still hit my bottom line. Like, yeah, it's a little tough. I'm going to have to build this and that, but the president's going to make it easy for me. I just have to pick whichever state is the best in regards to taxes, corporation, and I'm good. That's it. It's going to flood soon. It's going to flood soon. Right now, what you're seeing with these companies that are doing it, you're seeing the early adopters. Right now, you're seeing early adopters who are like, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. You know, he's in office. Hasn't even been 100 days. Let's get in now. The next 6 to 18 months, everybody else is going to start to jump in. It's going to be nuts.
Now they're going to learn about deduction. So I think it's going to be great. Yeah.
Mr. President, are you going to move ahead with a universal tariff or different individual tariff rates on a whole variety of different?
Well, you're going to see in 2 days, which is maybe tomorrow night or probably Wednesday, you're going to see. And they're reciprocal. So whatever they charge us, we charge them, but we're being nicer than they were. We have a lot of countries, friend and foe. I always say friend and foe, but the friend in many cases is worse than the foe. They took advantage of us. And we are going to be very nice by comparison to what they were. The numbers will be lower than what they've been charging us, and in some cases maybe substantially lower, but we sort of have a world obligation perhaps. but we're gonna be very nice. Relatively speaking, we're gonna be very kind.
Mr. President, you met with the chairman.
Somebody said that about me the other day. He said, who doesn't know me very well, they said, "You're such a kind person." And I said, "Say that again." They said, "You're a kind person." I said, "I've never heard that before." It was a weird statement. I was kind.
Who said that?
I've heard of words that, I don't know, I better not tell you. You know, I've been called a lot of things, but it's sort of a different kind of a word. It's like an old-fashioned word, isn't it?
Mr. President, you met with the chairman of Stellantis today. Did
Yes.
he ask you for a pause on the auto tariffs?
No.
What was that meeting about?
Just about some of the problems they have with the environmental, which we're going to clean up.
Have any of the automakers?
We're going to probably go back to 1920. If you look, we're going to go back probably to a 2020 standard. So we'll have 2020 standard, and that's just a few years ago. Oh, they're making it so difficult all over the world. They're making it. It doesn't mean a damn bit of difference either for the environment. It doesn't matter. They make it impossible for people to build cars. So we're going to be doing much different. 2020 is a strong standard, but they take it to a level now that makes it very difficult to build a car.
Are you
So
hearing-
we're going to be bringing it back to a standard that is a very good environmental standard, but it makes it possible to build a car.
Have you heard any?
Again, less red tape. That's basically what he's talking about. He's saying it without saying it. Less red tape. That's what he's talking about right now. Quad, what did you say? Honestly, Coach Colin, your work makes my life make sense, and I'd say that for a lot of people feel the same way. This guy, he said that to me. I said, "Say that to me again." And he said, my life makes sense with your content. I said, "Wow, this is an old school type of compliment, Thanks, man.
Any concerns from the automakers, though, about the tariffs on parts that will go into effect
No.
over the coming
They-
weeks, about
they
what
all
that's going
know.
to mean for the price of?
Well, I gave them a
American-made
big break
cars?
for a month. I didn't charge them anything, for a big month, for that first month. And they brought a lot of material into this country because they could bring it in without tariff. If you look at Canada and Mexico, they were driving hundreds of thousands of cars into the market because they avoid the tariffs by doing it before the tariffs go on, which would be Wednesday. And I looked at I saw some of your shows where cars are lined up for miles and miles. Some of them didn't have fenders on them. Some of them didn't have the roof on yet. They're driving it in brand new. They're driving it in because they want to avoid the tariffs. I let them have that. They sort of took advantage of it because, that wasn't part of the deal, but that's okay.
Are there any
They're
countries-
great American car companies, and so I gave them a little break on that. Yeah.
Are there any countries that you're not targeting on Wednesday?
Well, it depends. I said it's reciprocal. Not everybody has made a fortune, but almost everybody has, but not everybody. And the ones that haven't, we're going to be very nice to them.
And on a separate issue,
Because that word reciprocal is very important. What they do to us, we do to them. Okay.
can I just ask you briefly on President Putin? You said over the weekend, or indicated over the weekend, some frustration with him. How serious are you about imposing oil sanctions on
No, I
Russian
want
oil?
to see him make a deal so that we stop Russian soldiers and Ukrainian soldiers and other people from being killed. But mostly it's Russian and Ukrainian soldiers. They're losing at least 2,500 human beings, beautiful human beings, a week. And I want it to stop. And some people would say, why do you worry about Russian soldiers or Ukrainian soldiers? I worry because they're just like you people. They're like us. They're like all of us. And I seem to have an ability to do those things. And if I can do that, I think it's a very worthwhile thing to do. And I think we will. No, I want to make sure that he follows through, and I think he will. I don't want to go secondary tariffs on his oil, but I think, it's something I would do if I thought he wasn't doing the job. I did it with Venezuela, secondary tariffs, and you know what happened? Every boat left the harbor. Did you see that? It was a beautiful thing to see. The whole harbor emptied out. My words weren't even finished. I have these massive ships. They're actually taking the hoses and dumping them into there. They couldn't get out of there fast enough because they know I don't play games. So I think he's going to live up to what he told me, and I think he's going to fulfill his part of the deal. Now, then you have Zelensky, and hopefully he's going to live up. I see he's trying to renegotiate the rare earth. You know, we did something because, as you know, the Europeans get paid back the money that they gave, and we don't, because Biden is an incompetent president. And he should have asked for rare earth, or he should have asked for the loans to be guaranteed in some form. That's what Europe did. Europe is in for probably $100 billion, and we're in for 350 billion. So we're in for more than 3 times. And now you could make it a little bit less than that, but it doesn't matter. Whatever the number, we're in for substantially more than Europe. We could be in for 350 billion. They have no idea because Biden wasn't a good bookkeeper except for himself. And what happens is we made a deal for rare earth. It was all done. And I heard through you, I haven't spoken to them yet, but through you I heard that they're now saying, well, I'll only do that deal if we get into NATO or something to that effect. Well, that was never, number one, discussed. Number two, I think it's going to be long before Putin, they said you're not going into NATO. And it could be, that's probably the reason the war started, actually.
We're hours away.
That was 100% why it started. And the person who said it was Kamala Harris. How about that? That makes sense, though. She would start a war. She would just be drunk, just say a couple things and just start a war and just walk off and be like, I don't know what they're arguing about. I don't care. But check out Trump. I can't wait to see the MSNBC spin on what he just said. Donald Trump, dictator, trying to tell 2 countries that they can't kill their own soldiers if they want to. How about that? Well, you know what Donald Trump is doing here. He's trying to dictate how many people stay alive inside this guy's country. And, you know, that's something that Stalin would have done. Okay? Or Mao, or should I say Hitler? And they all scream Hitler at the same time. Just a dictator. And now he thinks he's going to take the soil out of Zelensky's right under from his feet. He's going to take his soil. Did you hear that? With the rare earths, he's going to take the rarest soil, okay, from his underneath Zelensky's feet. Where is Zelensky going to stand? He already stands 5 foot 2 inches, and now Donald Trump's going to knock him down and make him look like he's 4'11". I mean, this is crazy. I mean, what a dictator. I say if Russian and Ukrainian soldiers would like to perish, they should be able to do so. That's all I've been saying, Margaret. Anyway, we hate Trump. And they all just do a Elon salute right away. I should recreate that. I wish I had a sketch show. I would make that in a heartbeat. Oh, man.
From a very special election, Wisconsin, Florida. I want to share your thoughts on Republican voters to not sleep on this.
Yeah.
2 very important races you got.
Well, it's a big race, Supreme Court race in Wisconsin. It's taking place essentially as you know, it was early voting, so we'll see what happens. It's a big race. I love Wisconsin. We won Wisconsin. Republicans typically don't do very well in Wisconsin, but I did. I actually won it twice. I actually probably won it 3 times to be exact.
We played their side.
Not probably. I won it 3 times. We had a rigged election the second time, but that's, you know, one of those things. We had to make this one too big to rig. Would you agree with that, Brian?
Yes,
Too big
sir.
to rig?
Yes, sir.
So anyway, but yeah, there's a big race, and I hope you get out and vote for the Republican. The woman is a radical left lunatic, and let's see who wins. But the woman will be very bad, and you know, Wisconsin's a big state politically, and the Supreme Court has a lot to do with elections in Wisconsin. So if whoever it is that's running, including, you know, even Senate races, etc., but whoever it is in 4 years that runs, having Wisconsin is a very big, you know, we won it early and big, but winning Wisconsin's a big deal. So therefore, the Supreme Court choice is the one you're talking about right now. It's a big race. It's going to be announced fairly shortly.
President Trump, on TikTok, big week of deadlines. You got Liberation Day and then TikTok deadline.
Yeah,
this
we
week.
do, which I can extend if I want, but we have a lot of enthusiasm for TikTok, for buying it. I think TikTok is good. I used it I was a great TikTok guy, and we won by 36 points, the youth. You know, we won the youth, which Republicans don't do. Maybe it's because Kid Rock likes Trump, I don't know, but we won We won the youth by 36 points, and I attribute some of that to TikTok.
Is the TikTok deal, the negotiations now, tied to a bigger tariff deal with China?
No, but it could be. I mean, I've used tariffs for lots of different reasons, but I could see, 1 point in tariffs with China, a big country, would be probably worth more than all of TikTok, as valuable as TikTok is. It's big stuff. So there's a great example. That's a great question, actually. I'm a very flexible person. I could use that for that. Like, maybe I'll take a couple of points off if I get approvals for something. I haven't done it. Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. But it's a very good question. Peter, you're very good.
Thank you. You'll love this one.
Go ahead. I can
It's
imagine.
not front page.
This guy said, I'll take a couple of points off. Man, Trump for sure. The mafia people, they say that Trump stayed away from them. For some reason, he was able to always slip away and he never got juiced by them or anything. But he has a little bit, maybe it's because he's from New York. He's like, I'm going to take a couple of points off. That's like the people I grew up with. They talk like that. You're going to pay a couple points. Because you didn't have the money and now you got the money, so you're going to pay a couple points. What's the big deal? Yeah, maybe I'll take a couple off if you go with Luigi and you go do a thing. But for now, it's 4 points. What's the problem? Saved your life. What's the matter with you? Man, Trump buying TikTok is amazing. Because I don't know if you guys know, I made videos about it, but what they're going to do is they're going to put it into, I forget what it was called, but for lack of language on my part, they're going to put it into some kind of trust that's going to be for America. Almost, if I had to, I can't put my finger on what it was called, but it's like a mutual fund for America. They're going to be putting it in there, and it's going to be for the entire country. And the entire country is going to reap the benefits. And it's part of his plan to have enough assets and things flowing that he can make it so people who make 150,000 and under, he can make it so they don't pay taxes. And it's something that can actually be a part of the fuel to the external revenue office that they want to make. They want to make that the taxes that they get come from external instead of internal, so they don't end up having to tax the people. And TikTok's actually supposed to be a part of that whole thing. So there's a lot of stuff that he's working on. It's really, really weird. Really, really weird if he actually pulls it off. Because then America owns TikTok. Good and bad. You can kind of say more of the same, because they don't own Meta, but they definitely have Meta's ear. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg admitted that, the former administration put pressure on him to throttle down accounts, take down posts, take things down that were completely true. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in regards to how TikTok flows now, if that changes all of a sudden, if it just becomes every other thing is just like a pro-America post, Yeah, you never know. You never know what could happen, right? Anybody's capable of having too much power, But we'll see. We'll see.
News. But I am just curious. What is your thought about Tiger Woods now becoming part of the broader Trump family?
Well, I love Tiger, and I love Vanessa, and they had a great relationship. I happen to think the relationship with my son, I happen to think the relationship was hurt very badly by the witch hunt that went on, Russia, and all the crap that they put Don through, who knew nothing about it. But Vanessa and Don had a very good relationship. They have incredible children, 5 incredible children, all good athletes, all great students, they're like great. And they broke up, quite a while ago, and which was to me very sad, because I think they're both great. Don and Vanessa, and Tiger actually called me a few months ago, and you have a very special, very good relationship with Tiger. I played golf with him a couple of times over the last month, and he's a fantastic guy and a fantastic athlete. And he told me about it, and I said, Tiger, that's good, that's good. I'm very happy for both. I just let them both be happy. Let them both be happy. They're both great.
Who's
To
on your
follow
question?
up on China, China, South Korea, and Japan say they're going to work together in cooperation to respond to the tariffs that you're going to put into
Could be.
effect this week. Are you concerned that this move, the tariffs this week, could push some of the United States' closest allies to work with China?
No, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it, yeah.
Mr. President, can I ask
I
about
think they have a
something?
chance of doing better, actually, with the tariffs. It could actually help them in a certain way. And I think a lot of them will drop their tariffs because, you know, they've been unfairly tariffing the United States for years. And if you look at the European Union on cars, the European Union already dropped their tariff down to 2.5%. It was announced a couple of days ago, which is what which is a very small tariff. The United States charged very little. And a lot of, I think I heard that India just a little while ago is going to be dropping its tariffs very substantially. And I said, why didn't somebody do this a long time ago? A lot of countries are going to be dropping their tariffs.
I think he's 100% right about that, because you have to weigh it. You have to say, what's more important? That I get to tax the hell out of this country and now I'm going to be mad about it and I'll go somewhere else and have to establish a new relationship. Let's say it's China or something. And now you have to go by what they're saying and you have no idea what that relationship's going to look like. Are they going to milk you even more at the end of the day? Do you even want that? Or do you look at it and say, well, the things that I want to put into America, Americans love. So they're going to buy it and I'm going to make money. But all I have to do is drop the tariff and all of a sudden I have a better... It just makes sense for the more sensible people who are running their countries to drop their tariffs. I don't know what Canada's thinking. I don't know what this Mark Carney and Doug Ford and all of these ridiculous characters, because that's what they are in Canada. The politicians are like these weird characters. It's just odd. I don't know what they're thinking. They should be the first people to be like, no tariffs. We love you. Let's just do free trade. Obviously, who else is buying their stuff who else is buying Canada's stuff in mass? And don't get me wrong, there's lumber and there's all sorts of natural resources that they have, but it's not like America. Yeah. So I think a lot of them are going to end up dropping it. It's a clever power play. Yeah, man. It is. It is, and it's an equalizer as well. You know, everybody knows the American economy consumes. It consumes. It does a lot of that. Why do you think China jumped in the way they did? And they make the pharmaceuticals and the this and the that, and you can't flip over anything inside some kind of bodega that doesn't say made in China. The reason they did that is because they know the Americans will buy it. So now all of a sudden it's like, what do you want? Do you want to sell just as much as you have been and maybe even more? Or do you want this tax? You know, you want to make double money, and if you can't make double money, you're not going to make any? That's crazy. No sensible person's going to do that. Yep, why would a nation forego making money from tariffs off of the US when they have no reason to? All Trump is doing is forcing them to the table to renegotiate. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's actually smart. And the thing is, when he does this, every single smear, and you have to call them smear. Any person who's speaking ill of what he's doing, they're talking about it right now and what it looks like right now. But they're not talking about, well, maybe they can't foresee it, or maybe it's in their interest to not foresee what it looks like 18 months from now, 24 months from now. I guarantee all of this makes way more sense. Even this thing he's calling America Liberation Day, I guarantee all of that makes way more sense a year or two from now. Dramatically more sense. Didn't make any sense when he first started taking away people's security clearance. When he first started doing that in his first term, everybody was like, oh, this is crazy. Why would you do that? Now all of a sudden he's doing it and it makes sense. Now people are like, why does that person even have security clearance? And then what it actually ends up doing is stopping the revolving door of people working for government and then going and working for some company, and then that company benefiting from the clearance that person has. And all of a sudden, those same people that would retire early or jump over to another company with their clearance, now all of a sudden that stops. They're incentivized to stay in their position or they retire out. It's just one of those things that it's going to take time for people to realize what's going on with it.
In France today, Mr. President, Marine Le Pen, the far-right leader, got convicted in court and is now banned from running for office for 5 years. Do you have a comment?
That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. I know all about it, and a lot of people thought she wasn't going to be convicted.
Yeah, I got to interrupt again. Exactly. I can't wait to see how people react if they do away with the federal. Exactly. Imagine that happens. How are they going to spin that? MSNBC is going to be like, Americans want to pay taxes. Now there are millions of families suffering because they don't know what to do with this surplus of income. And you know who else would have done something like this? Stalin. You're right. You know what, Mika? You're correct. Stalin would have done something like this. We need to take money away from families. It's just the right thing to do. There's going to be a whole thing about it. People are buying houses left and right. There's a new type of housing crisis going on because of what Donald Trump's done. It's going to be dumb. It's going to be dumb.
Of anything, and I don't know if it means conviction, but she was banned for running for 5 years, and she's the leading candidate. That sounds like this country. That sounds very much like this country. Okay, anybody else?
You presented with a bunch of proposals for tariffs by your advisors that were talking about that idea publicly.
And who?
That your advisors have presented ideas
They
to you
do.
about about tariffs and what to do in the next few days. Have you settled?
Well,
on
you're
any-
going to see. I've settled, yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
But we talk about it. We talk about it a lot. We want to do what's right for the country and even the world. You know, affects the world, not just this country. This has been the piggy bank for the entire world. So it really does affect the world, and that's important to me also. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. President, in the past you have said that you want the quick return of Austin Tice, a Marine Corps veteran and a journalist who went missing in Syria over 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Have efforts been made to locate Austin Tice been extended beyond Syria, including potential leads in Iran? And do you have plans to get in touch with Ms. Deborah Tice, the mother of Austin Tice? And also at the same time, organizations like Hostage Aid Worldwide have been on the ground in Syria searching for Austin Tice for many years. Can I get your comment on the future, potential future plans to locate Austin Tice and to bring him home finally?
So we've been looking, as you know, for Austin for years. I don't know about Biden. I don't think Biden was looking for anything, but we were. And there's been virtually no sign, you know that. There's been no sign of Austin. An incredible young guy. Be less young now. It's been a long time. It's been many, many years. The mother is fantastic. She's a very committed mother that her whole life is to find her son, who was in Syria and just disappeared off the face of the earth. So, you know, a lot of bad things happen. But we're always... You know, we will never, until we find out something definitive, one way or the other, we'll never stop looking for him. But we have been, and the response, it's just a lot of dead ends. He's been gone for a long time. The problem is there's never been a sighting. You know, sometimes you'll have somebody you're looking for him and there's a sighting. There's never been a sighting of Austin, but we are out there and we have great respect for his family and for his mother. She's been unbelievable. Yeah,
Mr.
please.
President, a question about...
No, behind you.
Oh, apologize.
Yes, you've had outreach with the leaders of Russia and China. You've made an outreach to Iran. When are you going to plan to reach out to North Korea and Kim Jong-un? Anytime in the near future?
Well, I do. I have a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un. Now, you people hate to hear that, but it's very important. I got along with him fantastically, as you know. It started off very rough, very nasty. Little Rocket Man, the whole thing was a nasty deal. And then one day we got a call that they'd like to meet. We met. We have a great relationship. And yeah, we have, there is communication, yeah. I think it's very important. You know, he's a big nuclear nation. And he's a very smart guy. I got to know him very well. Remember, I put my foot across the line and then I walked across the line. I don't know if Secret Service was thrilled with that. They actually wasn't. They were not too thrilled. But have a very good relationship with him. Yeah, we'll probably do something at some point. Yeah, please, Jeff.
Who's on your short list, Mr. President, to replace Elise Stefanik as U.S. Ambassador to the UN?
So we have a lot of good people that want it. First of all, Elise is fantastic, and I just don't want to take chances with you guys saying, how is the election going? We have a congressional election that's a little bit close. I guess the one is in good shape, but the other one's a little bit close. But Randy Fine is a great guy. They're both good candidates. They're very good. But it's, you know, a little bit, we want to be careful. And Elise is very popular in her district, and so am I. We won by a lot of points, and so did she. And there's a lot of people that wanted to run for it, but we have no idea, are they going to win it? I think it's just security. And I said, Elise, what about going back? Because they love you there, and she's going to take a big leadership position with Mike Johnson and the group, the speaker. And I can tell you that for the replacement, we have a lot of people that have asked about it and would like to do it. David Friedman, Rick Grinnell, and maybe 30 other people. Everyone loves that position. That's a star-making position. And so we'll see what happens. But we have a lot of people that are interested in going to the United Nations, as you can imagine. Yeah.
So we get a quick music question. Favorite song to play live is what? And then my question for you, Mr. President, your favorite rally you did last year, 2024. What was your favorite one?
Favorite song to play live?
Yeah, favorite song to play live.
Oh, that's a tough one. It'd have to be one of the hits, probably Cowboy or Ball with the Bar. There's a song that I've played every night that was never a singular hit that I probably should not say the words to in this office right now.
And then for you, Mr.
You never met a
He does,
certain
by the
person
way,
like
his
me.
rallies are amazing. He does great and gets big crowds. He's really a star when it comes to that. He is a very talented guy. I would say maybe Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Because anybody that was there, the owner of the garden, Jim Dolan, who's, you know, to me always been terrific. He said this, he's never seen anything like it. We had, when you announce Madison Square Garden, you know, it's a big arena, but we sell out big arenas. We sold out in Milwaukee, we sold out at every big arena. We never had empty seats. It's amazing. They talk about Bernie Sanders gets 2,000 to 3,000 people. Everyone said, these crowds, I get 107,000 people in New Jersey. In Butler, PA, we had over 100,000 the second time. We had 55,000 the first time. We have big crowds. I would say Madison Square Garden because I grew up in New York and the garden is great. Jim Dolan treated us well, but everybody said they, because I think I could have filled it up 10 times. We had hundreds of thousands of people that were stacked all the way back to the Hudson River and on the other direction back to Fifth Avenue. Nobody's ever said, I don't mean with a line, I mean like 50 deep, this way. The streets were closed, the whole thing, it was crazy. And when you take that, you know, you want to do well at Madison Square Garden. You don't want to have empty seats. But we could have sold it out, Brian, 10 times, and everybody knew it. And I think we got a good indication that that's where the election was going. And we won every swing state, and we won by millions of votes. It was a great election, yeah.
Mr. President, the U.S. military.
It's definitely Madison Square Garden. That has to be the place. That is where every person wants to sell out. I actually have a friend that performed at Madison Square Garden. I know someone that I grew up with, actually. He performed at he was in Kill Tony, and he performed in front of thousands and thousands of people. I was shocked, absolutely shocked. He was on stage with Rogan and Tony and all those guys. It's crazy, absolute crazy. Madison Square Garden is the place. That's the place. That's when you know you've made it. That's just, but if I was a part of MSNBC, I would say, and he liked Madison Square Garden because that's where the Nazis performed. Isn't that right, Gloria? That's right. The Nazis were there, and it was absolutely terrible. And he's just trying to harken back to those days where the Nazis were a prominent figure in the world. I think that's what it is. Yes, Orange Man Brad, Orange Man bad. Yes, we all agree, Orange Man bad. Can we all just say it on 3? That's exactly what they're going to do with that clip. Oh man, but yeah, Madison Square Garden's the place to be, 100%.
transferred 17 individuals to El Salvador overnight. Did you